Said this world wouldn't be here much longer, but look around, here we are. Only God in His wisdom, surely not me and mine, knows the number of the days of a man. Every day He shows me a sign. There goes sundown, there goes sundown, there goes sundown again. Some days I pray this prayer more than others, for my Lord to come. When I'm weary of fighting, yeah, when I'm tired of running, other days I wanna stay around and grow old with that girl of mine. Most of the future, it's out of my hands. He reminds me every day about this time. There goes sundown, Tuesday, yeah, there goes sundown. There goes sundown again. I don't believe we've been forgotten. God's too faithful, He's too good at keeping all His promises. He's gonna come for me, just like He said He would. Oh yeah, He said He would. Oh, look yonder. Yeah, there goes sundown. Yeah, there goes sundown. There goes sundown. There it goes again. There it goes again. Yeah. There goes sundown. Yeah, there goes sundown. There goes sundown again.
Lord, thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for everyone that in here in the Telegram, those who help out to make this broadcast make happen, Lord. Bless Brother Francis and those who uh, will listen and watch this uh, live broadcast. Uh, Anoint your servant, Lord, and give us understanding to this topic. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
So let's look at letter A. So that's Matthew 24 prophecy. Yesterday, no one was asking about it. What are the divisions of Matthew 24? We're focused on Matthew 24 because this is where we will base our applications of this generation shall not pass away. So verses 1 to 20. Is there a feedback? Okay. Oh, there's a feedback. Okay, so okay, it's the picture, no? Because it came from the local video. Hello. Okay,
Can
that's
we
the
can
feedback.
we
Disappeared.
read the verse first?
Yes, we should. So someone read the verse, and but Sister Yead, you may show the pictures. We're laying down the groundwork first. So
Okay, and
that's 1
Jesus
to
went
20,
out
the first division.
and departed from the temple, and his disciple came to him. Wait, just wait. And his disciple came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. Verse 2. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here on one stone upon another, and that shall not be thrown down. Verse 3, and he sat upon the olive trees. The disciple came at him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Can I ask question first?
Yes, you may.
Okay, the question is when what Christ talking to when he says that uh, let no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
Many churches apply this immediately in the end times. But did you know, in the time of Christ, the end times are already there in the mindset of whom? The Essenes. And from the Essenes, John the Baptist gave his message, the kingdom is coming. And Christ also came. He's preaching about the kingdom. That's the part Jason Gabrola got it right. He's really preaching about the kingdom. Of course, the kingdom will eventually transform into the gospel. And it will go to the Gentiles. But that's later. But originally, during his ministry, he was also preaching about the kingdom. So what about the end times? Not our end time yet. So there's nothing wrong to say our time is the application. That's what we can say, a parallel application.
When Jesus asked the disciple that what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So during that time, the disciple telling Jesus about the temple. So are they talking to the third temple? What do you think, Pastor Jerry, Pastor Magellan?
I asked for the church ages because look at the church ages. Look at Alpha and Omega. The Alpha part is where the disciples ask, will you at this time restore the kingdom? That's Pentecost, when he ascended up to heaven. On the latter side, that's where the most Christian apologists apply Matthew chapter 24, and it's not wrong. That's for the Gentile setting. This is where Brother Jason Gabrola missed it. There's a parallel application of Matthew chapter 24 for the Jews and the Gentiles. Let's talk about the original application. The original application in the time of the Christ, even before the coming of Christ and during his ministry, there are many apocalyptic revelations that it's about the end time. The kingdom is about to come. That's the message of John the Baptist. Before the John the Baptist, we have the Essenes, or the Essenes. They had this revelation, if you can show temporarily the Essenes tabulation, they had this revelation about the end time, which is the coming of the kingdom. There was an expectation of that. And let's talk about the false Christs. Did you know that in the first century, up until Bar Kokhba, 130 AD, there were many. Who were those Christs? Not the end time Christ we see of different pastors today.
So during
The Christ
the disciple or during
the
Jesus
Messiah.
Christ,
Yes.
during Christ, there are many so-called Christ proclaiming
Their messiahship.
being the Messiah.
Yes, because they're looking at a political Messiah, a military Messiah to free them from Rome. That's the original
not
context.
Messiah. Bar Francis, not Messiah like Jesus. They are waiting for the Messiah like David.
They have been waiting for like David during the time of Christ. That's the original context of what Christ was talking about.
Barabbas.
He was not yet
How
talking
about
about,
Barabbas is a zealot,
but
freedom fighter.
Barabbas is a supporter of the zealots there. You see the tabulation. He's a supporter of zoom on the left side, zoom on the category We're not going to talk about the equivalence, Christian equivalence, Jewish equivalence. So there were zealots in the time of Christ. The zealots were looking for a political Messiah. Jesus Christ then could fill in those shoes. They were willing to make him their leader. Remember, they wanted to make him king. The sentiment in Jerusalem, in Israel, was they will be freed from the Romans. That's the reason the high priests were afraid of him. They were not afraid of just Jesus Christ. They were afraid of rebellion. And Caiaphas said, it's better for one man to die than the whole nation be destroyed. There were many different messiahs. And Jesus Christ was looked upon just one of those things. But his message is different. His message was submission to the Romans. The message of other rebel leaders was to fight against the Romans, to resist. So that's the context when he said there are many false messiahs, false Christs. Because their message is actually what the Jews today are claiming that's the real Messiah. That's why they don't accept Jesus Christ. He didn't bring in the kingdom. He didn't usher in the millennium or what. He didn't usher in everlasting peace. So, but his message was that of humility, submission, peace. Don't resist the Romans. Very much like Jeremiah. Remember our broadcast about the lamentations of Jeremiah? Submit to Nebuchadnezzar. Submit. So, many Jewish prophets' message is to submit to their ruler, to their invader, to their occupier. The Persian Empire, the Greek Empire, the Babylonian Empire. Now there's the Roman Empire. It's the time of Christ. So in the time of Christ, his message was that of submission. And that's why the rest got fed up with him, gave up on him, even Judas, for the moment. And yes, he totally gave up. He didn't get back, because of that. He could not, shall we say, understand. So he lacked that Berean spirit. So eventually they gave up, and others marked Christ as a false prophet. And that's what they remember till today. Matthew 24, in the first part, what the context was in the time of Christ until Titus. If you read up to verse 20, that's the original application. The original application. What about the Christians, teacher? Could you show the pictures you were showing a while, Sister Yead? The majority of the Christians would think about the end time, about the church age, about our time, the omega part of the church age. The alpha part is this, when he was preaching. The omega age, the Laodicea age, it's now. And many Christian apologists are focusing on the now. And that's not wrong. It's correct. But before you go here, get back to the basic. What was the original context of what Christ was saying? Of course, what happened in the past will be repeated in the end time. Like Brother Branham said, Ephesus and Laodicea, they will have the full word. Laodicea should get back, a bride should get back to the original word of Ephesus.
Brother Francis,
So both Ephesus and
Brother Francis,
Laodicea can apply this false Christ, but it's different here in the church age. That literal third temple is not yet there. It's no longer applied there. Other verses up to verse 20 will no longer apply on the destruction of the temple. Okay, question, Brother Menon.
okay, so they are telling about the temple, or Jesus
Look, they were showing that Jesus
showing
Christ, the temple.
the temple to the disciple. Then he said that See, I read the verse 2. Jesus said, see ye not all these things? There shall be not be
Not
left
one stone
here
upon
one
another.
stone upon another that shall
Yeah.
not be thrown down. So what he's talking about?
The literal temple.
He is referring to the war that will follows war about the rebellion.
No, I think it's about the it's Titus. It's about Titus in 70 AD.
He is not referring, Pastor. He is not referring to the end time events in the tribulation. Hello, Brother Francis. Brother Francis was not here. So, uh, when Jesus said on the disciples, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So, uh, so Jerry, you said that it was referring to the 70 AD when General Titus was struck the Jerusalem.
Yes, the second temple. That's what I understand, and it happens. And as I read in a historical facts, one thing that General Titus done, so he threw down all those stones was he's looking for the gold that was in there because that temple was refurbished by Herod the Great. That is the temple built by Zerubbabel and Haggai, but was reconstructed uh,
During the
during
time of Jesus, it was the second temple, right,
yes,
Pastor?
yes,
So it was just the Herod's temple during his time,
yes.
and
They call it also the Herod's temple.
but he's not
That
repairing the third temple that
that
or is he repairing to the temple that will struck down, then it will be rebuilt during the tribulation.
in our time, to be exact, before rapture comes, the third temple will be built. I believe that this Matthew 24 verse 2 will not be applied in the third temple because as we studied before, the third temple will be set by the Antichrist during the tribulation period at the middle of the week, and he will make a abomination and desolation. But it will be cleansed when Christ come at the end of the tribulation, so that Christ will reign for 1,000 years with the saints. That is the third temple. So this verse 24 verse 2 of Matthew will not be applied to that third temple. That's what I understand.
Okay,
But
Pastor, in verse 6,
yes,
ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not come. It's
yes.
not yet, but the end is not
It's
yet.
the occurrence of that is happening right now, and will be to be continuously transpired until the tribulation period comes. The what's happening now in Israel, and when Ezekiel 38:9 comes, that's part of this Matthew 24 verse 6. What I want to ask your opinion or your understanding with this verse that you in 24 verse 19, and woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither and on that Sabbath day. As I heard to Brother Francis a while ago, this shall not be applied during the tribulation period, but it only applied during the 70 AD invasion of Titus, General Titus of Jerusalem.
So when Jesus saying that there's be war and rumors of war, and but the end is not yet come. So he's referring to the war during the 70 AD, or then after that there's war after 70 AD, bar ba. They fought to the Roman Empire. So they're
I believe,
dead.
I believe, but not to the understanding of the preterists, that this 70 AD and Bar Kokhba is the ultimate application of what Matthew 24 verse 6 is, but part of it. And we know that, as I said a while ago, that Ezekiel 38:39 was part of this. It culminated this prophecy of Jesus Christ. Well, there's a culmination of Jesus Christ's prophecy of wars and rumors of wars, and it's happening right now. It's more the war in Middle East is more broad and wide. Wider. What do you think of that?
Pastor, in verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdoms against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquake in diverse places. So, during the 70 AD, there's in the time in the first century AD, there are war between nations. And
It's
according
that
to Jesus, there
it's
shall
that
be famines and pestilence.
it's that yet in a wider scale. But in the whole church ages, this verse was applied, and we know that during the World War I, World War II, that's part of what happened. And even before the World War I, there's a big pestilences that happens, like the bubonic plague sometimes in 1919 or 1913, and so on. And even today, when pestilences like the COVID, oh, there's a chemical war within our midst. Wars, rumors of wars, what's happening right now. Look at Iran and Israel as of today. And even before the Egypt, the 6-Day War, the Yom Kippur War, that's part of Matthew verse 24 verse 7.
Something wrong with the tablet.
In verse 8 and 9, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Verse 9, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall
Yes,
many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. So
Yes,
during the time in the first century AD, uh, during the persecution of the Christians, Jesus was referring to.
that's only a precursor of what's will going to be transpired in this last day. I step into Brother Jason Gabrola's view that this is only for Israel. He doesn't know about the parallelism of church ages and the 7 years tribulation period for Israel. But is Israel, before they will be grafted in for their salvation, this verse 8, 9 will happen to them. That's what I
That is the beginning of the persecution of the Christians.
know
So
for Israel. So I said that there is a parallel. You can apply this for a Christian in the first century. You know what happened in Smyrnian church ages. But the ultimate application of this, again, as I said, it was uh, Brother Jason Gabrola's stand that it's only for Israel. Yes, the ultimate application of this is for Israel. When the tribulation or 7 years tribulation comes.
so the picture should be changing, not church ages. So please show the church ages again. Please show the church ages. Those you should have been changing the picture. Anyway, we're still in 1 to 20. So let's summarize this. What Christ said was in the beginning, but he alluded something in the church ages. You will be hated by all nations, by all men. And some will think that when they kill you, they serve God. They serve God by killing you, persecuting you. So what did Christ mention? Here from verse 1 to 20, the original is the destruction of the temple. So when Christ talked about this generation shall not pass, the generation that will see the destruction of the temple. So, what he said, let's
In
you
verse
can
16, Brother Francis, Jesus referring to Daniel's vision of abomination,
abomination.
abomination.
So before we
Then
go to the
Jesus said,
abomination, that
flee, flee to the, sabi niya,
mountains.
he says, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. So we applied this in the rapture. Oh, according to verse 17, let him which is on the housetop not come down to take any out of this house, to take anything out of his house.
Before you go to the rapture, you go to Titus first. There's a parallelism. That's why we have another broadcast called We Winter Escape. So we are in the last generation. In this last generation, how shall we escape? But during the time of Christ, there's an escape also for the Christians. It's the Christians who will be listening to Christ, and not the Jews. Of course, the Jewish Christians. The Jewish Christians then would be instructed that 70 AD. That's well within the church ages. So you can show the picture, Sister Yead. The flee Judea, flee to the mountains, the abomination spoken of by Daniel. So the abomination spoken of by Daniel, abomination spoken of by Daniel, this throws it far in the future, but he's gonna use Titus in 70 AD. So show the picture, Sister Yed. So
The,
in
Brother
70
Francis
AD, okay.
is referring to 70 AD, or is he referring
Both.
to the 2,300 days that the abomination in Daniel 8 12 to 14?
All of them. All of them.
The- the-
2,300 days already took place. That's why we have Hanukkah. That's the counterpart of Christmas. Okay. So 2,300 days already took place, but Christ used those words of abomination, like Antiochus Epiphanes. So show the picture, Sister Yed. About the defilement of the temple. It's not the destruction of the temple. It's the defilement of the temple. But when Titus was to destroy the temple, he alluded back in the time of Antiochus. What does that mean? He's showing not just 70 AD. He's showing some event far in the future. So if when you apply, this generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. The first part is the destruction of the temple. The second part are the persecution of Christians. That's the church ages. And the last part, the abomination that make desolate. That's what is that? That is the tribulation period. So maybe you can use the illustration of Brother Jackson. Show the church ages, show the tribulation. So, okay, maybe if you have the eternity to eternity that covers, yes, left and right. That's the tribulation. If you go to the other side, go to the Ephesus church age. So this is Laodicea church age. This is tribulation. Go to the other side. That's the what we call the Titus. Maybe you can zoom the church ages. Zoom Ephesus. You can see Titus, General Titus, 70 AD. Down there. Down, below. So that's Ephesus. And before, at the beginning, Ephesus, look at that 70 AD. You can zoom that, 70 AD, Jerusalem destroyed by the Roman general Titus. See that? Okay, zoom that. So at least you're making use of the chart. No one is looking at the chart. So that is the fulfillment. The multiple fulfillments of this generation shall not pass. The first fulfillment are those people who heard the warning. When you see armies coming to Jerusalem, Roman armies came in 70 AD, but there is another army that will come in the end time. In the end time, that will be the Antichrist. Go to the other side, Sister Yed, the tribulation period. So there are three of them. Okay, here, look at this. In the middle of the week, then the armies, when will the armies start approaching? At the rest of the half of the week, last week of Daniel. That's when they are going to approach, take
Hello.
over. Okay, Brother Jerry.
Bye-bye. Is it the seven head and 10 horns beast that the Antichrist was riding his army?
Yes, but don't think of Europe. Think of the whole world. The
Yes.
beast in Revelation 13 is no longer just Europe. It's East and West. United States will be out of the scene, and the European Union versus the Oriental Bloc, which is led by China, Japan, India, maybe even the Philippines, and many other countries. Asia,
So it is right to say, Brother Francis, that the seven heads was already the seven continents, as what Brother Gans mentioned before, or what he teach.
the seven head of Brother Gan is from Larkins. It is Assyria, Egypt, Assyria, then Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. That's seven. Seven major empires. But my seven heads is different because you count the leopard as four heads. So the seven. But that's another topic for another day. But if you talk about the whole world, it's not 7 regions, it's 10. That's what we call 10 geopolitical regions of the earth. If you have the old newspaper of Laritan, End Time Chronicles, And he talks about the 10 geopolitical. This is a denominational teaching. So it's no longer focused on the 10 toes. The kingdom of the world is represented by the 10 toes. It's no longer Europe. Europe was just a precursor, much like Titus was a precursor of the abomination of that spoken of by Daniel, stand in the holy place. Now let's talk about the abomination of Daniel. Was Jesus Christ referring only to Antiochus Epiphanes? No, he was referring to Daniel chapter 12, when the abomination set up. From the time that the day and a daily sacrifice shall be taken away until the abomination set up, shall be 1,335 days. So he was speaking of another abomination. This is in the middle of the week, the last week of Daniel. He shall confirm a covenant with many with 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and oblation to cease. Ceasing the oblation and sacrifice is the abomination spoken by Daniel where? Daniel 12. What about Antiochus? He just sets a type. So similar today, the European Union, the 10 toes, are just a type. Brother Paul, I hope you can invite Brother Peter. So my obligation will be whole day of abstinence. If he's not there, it's just a half day. Okay, so going back to what I was saying. The European Union is just a type for what? The end time 10 toes, which is, could you show the Daniel 10 toes, Barmenan or Sister Yead, if you can, if you know how to bring it out? The statue I'm talking about, that's the 10 horns of the beast. Show the beast, show that statue. Help out. I hope many of you could help out. Barmenan, you know that. The statue dreamt by Nebuchadnezzar, the 10 toes. I like the illustration of Herbert W. Armstrong in The Plain Truth. And even the beasts. Okay, that's the 10 horns, and that's the 10 toes. We already have that. So the 10 toes are originally the European Union. Sorry. They were not the European Union yet. They were the 10 tribes in Europe that the Romans conquered. So the Romans is the beast. The 10 horns in the head of the beast are the 10 tribes that they conquered in Europe. Those became the 10 kings. They became independent nations. Today they're the European Union, but the members are not just 10. It's more than 10. Okay, that's the statue. The rock that came from heaven destroyed the 10 toes, the feet. That's the end time. And what is that end time? If you click the picture of Barmenan, that is the time when Christ comes back on earth and destroys. When he will destroy is not just Europe. He's going to destroy the whole world. That's Revelation chapter 18. Babylon is fallen. When you say Babylon, it's not just Iraq or nor the Vatican. It's the whole world. This whole world, this whole concept, the image of the beast, the concept of the mind of the world, it's the image of the beast. Of course, the mark of the beast is helping it out. Wholly believing in them. Image of the beast is being lukewarm, just be carried away with the trends of the world. So this is where Christ comes back, destroys the toes. What kind of 10 toes is he destroying? What kind of feet? Iron mixed with clay. That's the 10 geopolitical regions of the earth. No longer just the European Union. Brother Jackson had this interpretation. Europe will defeat China or the Eastern Bloc first, and the Antichrist will be allied with the Europe. The Antichrist, which is the papacy taking over Jerusalem. Then Christ will destroy Europe. So there is an interpretation like that. Back when I was still in Binondo, back when Brother Jackson was still alive. So where did I learn that this it's no longer just Europe? Because the Bible said, I also read it from Crusaders Comics, it will be the whole nations united against Christ. It's east and west. They will go to World War III unless those days be shortened. Nothing will be left alive on Earth if they will be permitted to go all out nuclear with each other. Even scientists admit that. No winner. Mad, mutually mutual assured destruction. No one will be left alive. That's why the Bible said, unless those days shall be shortened, no flesh shall be saved. Could you go to the eternity to eternity, Sister Yead? Show the last part of the tribulation where Jesus Christ comes back down. And there's World War III. Oh, focus on the right side. Focus. Oh, that's Jesus Christ coming back down. Look at below. There's Armageddon. Armageddon is not the East versus West. Armageddon is all the nations united together versus Christ. You know the movie Independence Day? All the Muslims, the Israelites, the Christians, all the whole world united against what? An alien invasion. So they were all united against an alien invasion. So this alien invasion is Jesus Christ. Of course, the whole world is being conditioned with all UFOs and aliens. But they didn't know when Jesus Christ comes back down, he will be misunderstood. They will mistook him for an alien invasion. So those two blocks fighting it out, they will stop fighting it out. They will come together and unite. That's why in the Bible you could read the whole earth, the kings of the earth. It's no longer the kings of the East. And share that to Brother George Barfredi. It's no longer the kings of the East. It's the kings of the earth. That's Revelation chapter 19. But in Revelation chapter 9, the kings of the East, to pray for the coming for the kings of the East, they were still going out with World War III. World War III here is no longer between different blocks of nations, Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. World War III is Jesus Christ versus the world, versus the nations of the world. The foolish that became wise should have been martyred by that time, because they had the time that they will be martyred is this last 3.5 years. So if we can go back to our verse, the abomination start in the middle of the week. If you go backtrack from verse 10, 11, 12, 13, those are the persecution of Christians. Go to the church ages. Please go to the church ages, Sister Yead. That's the time when Christ was talking about verses 5 to 16, 5 to 15. The persecution of Christians. You shall be persecuted, hated by all nations. There shall be wars, famines. How about the wars? The rumors of war started with the time of the rebellion in Israel. But the whole world will be filled with wars during the church ages. And much more. How about the tribulation? It will be between an Eastern Bloc and Western Bloc. But during the church ages, after Israel, rebellions in Israel, wars, rumors of wars will be in the church ages. And there will be famines, pestilences like the bubonic plague, the Black Death. There were many other catastrophes, calamities during the church ages. But all those things will be compressed into the tribulation period. 7 church ages is parallel to the 7-year tribulation period. And all the calamities that happened for the last 2,000 years, they will be compressed here in the end time in the last week of Daniel to cleanse the earth. And of course, the 2 prophets will be accused as the promoter of those violence, those terrorist acts. They will be accused of that. Because of modern technology, they will no longer believe it's an act of God. They believe it's an act of terrorism by this Israelite conspiracy. People still believe in Israelite conspiracy, Israel conspiracy. Okay, so that's for the first few verses. Verses 1 to 20.
Brother Francis, will you please elaborate about this generation? Whom Jesus point to, this generation? Because there are many explanation about this generation, whether it's 40
Okay,
years.
okay. A good thing you asked that, no? So I mentioned 3 applications during the time of Christ. Ephesus. That's an Ephesus church age, 70 AD. That's this generation shall not pass. That's the original. That's the inherent application, original application. Much like 10:7, the original application is Israel and end of tribulation. Malachi 4 originally is Israel. So that this generation shall not pass. I hope you look for the song, Future Generations. So that because that's PTA. So that song. But the original application is in Ephesus. There's a middle application. What generation? Our generation right now. The one that saw the Israel become a nation again. That's what we call the fig tree. That's the time when Christ said, lo here, lo there, but believe them not. Okay?
When you see the fig tree was
That's in
put in
another
43.
verse. That's verses 30 to 33. So later we're going to look at that in the outline. But there's the final application in verse 20 is, unless those days shall be shortened, no flesh shall be saved. There's an application for Titus, but when Christ mentioned about the abomination, if we can open a scripture here, verse 15, 16, when you shall see the abomination spoken of by Daniel, he was alluding to the tribulation period. So which generation? There's a generation, which is our generation right now, when Israel became a nation. There's a generation that is in the tribulation period. So there are the sheep nations. There is the Israelite nation. That generation shall not pass. When Christ mentioned the abomination spoken of by Daniel, please go to, Sister Yead, please go to the middle of the week or go to the tribulation period. Go to the right. So that is also the final generation. So there's the generation that will go up in the rapture. There's the generation that will be left behind. The generation that will be left behind, the foolish that became wise, they will be martyred. But there are the sheep group that heard the message of the 144,000. This generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. What if they killed all the wise virgins, foolish that became wise? Then they will pass. But those things are already being fulfilled by that time. So those are the applications. Keep that in mind when we go through the other verses. Let's get back to our outline. Let's look at our verses. We just read from verse 1 to 20, right? So let's go to the other verses. You have to be very fast because we have 1 hour left. So look at this. So the first segment of Matthew chapter 24 is verses 1 to 20. The second segment is verses 21 to 25. What does it talk about? Is it also still Titus? Yes. But there's also a parallel application in the end times. Can anyone read for us? It's just 5 verses. 21 to 28. Sister Yead, what did I say that this time period alluded to? Maybe just show the scripture. Someone else show the
Can
scripture
I
to
read
me.
the verse, Brother Francis?
Yes, please read verses 21 to
Okay,
28.
verse 21, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Verse 22, except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, eh, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christ, false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible,
Deceive the
they
very
shall
elect.
deceive the very elect. Behold, I
Okay,
have
sir.
told you
Yeah, show
before.
pictures. Okay, show your pictures for that.
Or Francis,
Continue.
can you elaborate this? The verse 21, verse 22, there shall be great tribulation that not yet happen to this time according to Christ. So is he referring to the future tribulation or the uh, during
Titus.
the Titus tribulation?
All of them. All of them. Remember my answer to Bargeri? There's the generation that lived during the time of Christ. There's the church ages, and there's the tribulation period. So that generation shall not pass. Our generation, that's the church ages. There's the generation that saw that Israel becoming a nation. There's the time of Christ, but the time of trouble. That's in Daniel chapter 12 also. There shall be a time of trouble, such as was not, since there was a nation to that time. If you look at Daniel 12:1 and look at Matthew 24:22, there shall be great tribulation, such as was not, since there was a nation even to that time. Those are the same. They're talking about the same thing. That's a singular event. So that's, of course, that's when the coming of Christ. So what about the time of Titus? Can you apply it in the time of Titus? Yes. But the time of Titus, unless those days shall be shortened, no flesh shall be saved, there shall arise false Christs. Lo, here is Christ, here there is Christ. It applies also in the time of Titus, in time of Christ, between the time of Christ and the time of Titus. How many years is that? 40 years, right? So that is just a precursor. That is not the singular event. Of course, the destruction of the temple of Jerusalem in 70 AD is a horrendous event that the Jews could not forget for them. But for the believers, for the Christians, for the rest of the world, the abomination set up by Daniel, that's in the end time. That's in the tribulation period. That's in the second coming of Christ. That's Armageddon. There will be a 24-hour earthquake. The Bible said that. There will be great hailstones. You don't think it's ice, hailstones of ice. It's hailstones of fire. It could be an asteroid strike, um, separated into smaller rocks. But one rock is at least 50 kilos uh, big. Okay, and mountains shall explode. Okay, that's there shall be great tribulation. When Christ defeats the nations, the whole world will be thrown to chaos. They're not just defeating the nations silently like we see today. The whole world will be thrown into chaos, because how will Christ fight the nations? Through earthquake. Those living on earth will have a hell of a time living here. It's hell on earth, literally, before going to hell itself. So that is the fulfillment. There are three fulfillments here. You must read it as a parallel application. We finish until verse 28. Have you finished up to verse 28? Let's continue reading. Have you finished up? Continue reading. Lo, here is Christ. Okay. Where did you stop? Verse 28. Brother Bermenan, do you have a Bible with you? Are you still there? Okay, maybe someone else. Do you remember where Bermenan stopped? Or maybe someone show the scriptures. So I can presume false Christs.
So what verse are we gonna read?
Where you stopped. Continue from where you stopped. Where you left off.
Verse 26.
Okay. 2 verses to go.
Okay, wherefore if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chamber, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
That's
For
29, right?
wheresoever, yes.
Okay, we're not yet in 29. The 29 is the second coming of Christ. Let's look at our outline. What are the segments? Do we have segments? I think it's 29 up to 33. That's the parable of the fig tree, the coming of the Son of Man. If you can read from 29 to 33, so that's 29 to 35. That's the part you already read, Brother Menan. If you have the picture, maybe put the picture, superimpose it on letter C. What is that? That's the coming of Christ and the parable of the fig tree. 36 to 51, that's watch and pray. Okay, let's summarize between 29 to 35. Okay, continue reading from 29 to 35. Then Sister Yead, show the pertinent pictures to those verses. Okay, continue reading, Barmenan. So when Christ, there is a lightning that lights the east to the west, right? That's the rapture of what? The tribulation saints. Maybe for the moment, but Sister Yed, show the tribulation period. Let's show the rapture. Let's show what Christ was talking about. Zoom on the second coming of Christ. So there's the rapture before the tribulation of New Testament saints. The tribulation saints that were left behind, there's also a rapture for them. Look at the coming of Christ. Zoom on the right side. Please zoom on the right side. There, maybe look at the cloud there. There's, you see the third phase of the first resurrection. That's the tribulation saints. That's when you read in verse 29, as the lightning lighteneth up the east from the west. And there's another verse, he will gather his elect from the four winds. So lightning from east to west gathers his elect from the four winds. The New Testament saints, Old Testament saints that were already raptured, they will come down with Christ. The tribulation saints, which were the foolish that became wise, foolish virgins that became wise, they meet them up in the air. There's also in the meeting in the air there. And did you know this is the Pentecostal interpretation, majority of the Pentecostals. It's what they call a post-tribulation rapture, a post-tribulation resurrection. So there are those that believe in pre-tribulation rapture, resurrection. And there are those that believe in a post-tribulation rapture, post-trib. And this is that. They're both true. The Christian world today are divided between these two camps. The pre-tribulationist rapture and the post-tribulationist rapture. And they're so hostiles to each other, antagonistic with each other. But biblically, they're both true. They're just looking at one side of the coin. Each four blind persons holding an elephant. One held by the ear, other held by the trunk, the other held by the feet, the other held by the tail, held the elephant by the tail. They have a different description, but they're all telling the truth. So the post-tribulationist rapture are the verses we're reading right now. Verse 30, then shall appear the sign of the coming of the Son of Man. That's it. That's when Christ you see there in that illustration. Misunderstood but in actuality, it would look like an alien invasion because it will be points of light when they come down. So proceed with reading verse 29 to 30. Continue. So you just read verse 29. Continue with the verse 30. So Sister Yead, you may revert back to your prepared pictures so it will not be wasted. I continue reading, Barmenan. Hello. Barmenan? Okay.
29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. 30. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. 31. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other.
Until verse 36, the fig tree.
32.
So, Sister Yead, show the pictures of your fig tree. Okay?
32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree when his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves. Ye know the summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all the things, though know that it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you.
Cut for a moment, okay? Sister Yead, go to the church ages, look at Israel, become a nation again. At least from the eternity to eternity standpoint. So look at Israel there. That's the fig tree. Zoom on Israel. Zoom on the fourth horse. Mute for a moment, Barjeli, because the feedback is coming from you. Okay, there it is. Go down. Zoom downwards. Okay, where's the Israel? Oh, look at this there. It's Israel. That's the hexagram, the 5-pointed star. You see that? It's 1948. And that's when Brother Gan is saying the fig tree. Look at the, there's encircled arrow. The regathering of Israel, 1948. That's the fig tree. That's the fig tree that Brother Jerry was reading about. A while ago, it was the second coming of Christ. That was the scenario was at the end of tribulation. That means to say, between the regathering of Israel until the coming of Christ, that's also the last generation. That generation will not pass until you see all these things being fulfilled. Okay, so you may show pictures about Israel being regathered. Okay, Brother Jerry, continue reading with where you left off.
Verse 34. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. 35. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. In 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man.
That's another segment, Brother Jerry. So you stop in verse 35. Because that's about the fig tree. So you're not going to show pictures of the fig tree, Sister Yead, or Israel? Okay, so I hope your pictures will not be wasted. So let's go to 36 downwards. That's another segment of Matthew chapter 24.
Yes, verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For us, in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
So that picture is great, but we already talked about Israel, the fig tree. That's one of those pictures. Right now, we're going to talk about Noah.
This is a Brother Francis, this is a parallel application also, 38, for church
Verse
ages.
36 up to the end, no?
Yeah, yes.
That is our preparation. That's what we should be. Those are instructions. What we should be doing. We should be watching and praying. So we should be students of prophecy. To be qualified in the rapture, to be you must be prepared. That is the message starting from verse um, 36 down to 50. So there, that's the picture. Noah. It's calling on to remembrance. No, the flood came. They were not prepared because they didn't believe the world was going to end. Their lives were going to end. Okay, so and the flood came. So Luke also mentioned that, but we're focused on Matthew chapter 24. Okay, so you already catched up with your picture. Continue, Bargeri, reading. What you're gonna read, starting from that part, that last segment of Matthew 24, is the preparation of the bride. What we should be doing. It's an instruction. And this is a rebuke for all churches. Unmute for a moment, Bargeri. A rebuke for all churches, because if you're not prepared, you'll be left behind. Just like what happened in the time of Titus. They ate their babies because there was nothing to eat. There was a siege of the Romans in Jerusalem, and there was nothing to eat. They had to eat their babies, because their babies are dying anyway from hunger. So even the warfare of the Romans versus the Jews, and they were sold out in slavery. The others were murdered by the Romans. What is the type? The type to the tribulation, the end time Roman Empire, which is the 10 geopolitical regions of the earth, represented by the beast. So we have to prepare. How shall we escape? The first escape is the rapture. The second escape is martyrdom. If you're left behind in the rapture, you will have a very terrible time in the tribulation period. So look at the picture of Mr. Yead. Many people are just enjoying their lives out on this earth. You must be wary of preparation. So continue reading, Bargeri. You may change your picture according to Mr.
Yes.
Yead.
Verse 39, says, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. In 40, then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, and the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one shall be taken, and the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. But know this, that if the good man of the house hath known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh.
Okay, before
Who
you read
then?
verse 45, mute yourself for a moment. Verses, the scriptures before 45. Watch, therefore, for you don't know in what hour the Son of Man cometh. What are you going to watch? You're going to watch for the rapture. And how do you watch for the rapture? You need to be Berean. You need to compare prophecies. Compare our message, the message of others. That's being Berean. That's how you receive message from God. God uses many instruments. So from 43 down to 45, 46, 40, 44. If you know what time the thief would come, you could have prepared, but you don't know what time. So you have to prepare. You just take for granted he's gonna come eventually, the thief. So if you're not in darkness, that thief will not that day will not overtake you like a thief. The thief, you don't know when he's coming. But you will know when he is coming when you are watching and praying. Watching and praying is being Berean, studying prophecy.
Yes, yes, Brother Francis. And as I observed, even in end time, they believe that in prophecy that it was Israel, the coming back of Israel. They know it very well when it comes to doctrine about the Israel, but that's the part that they are just watching. They are not watching about how to become a Berean. They don't
Okay,
understand that.
so the part of the truth of other denominations is knowing prophecy on Israel. Maybe you can show Israel, no? Sister Yed. So knowing Israel as a nation that came back, then at least you are focusing on the message of God. Of course, the message is not just Israel. So there are Christian stations, Trinity Broadcasting Network, and many other fundamentalists, believers, or preachers, apologists. They also preach the coming of Israel, that Israel becoming a nation once again is a sign of the end time. But if you're watching and praying, you're not just focused on 1948. You're focused on Israel today. Of course, you're waiting for Ezekiel 38:39. If you can zoom that, Sister Yed, for a moment. No? Eternity to eternity, zoom on Ezekiel 38:39. So after the nation of Israel was regathered in Palestine, becoming a nation once again, maybe click Sister Berna. Sister Berna, zoom on the, you don't know where it is. So you need some examination by Jerry. It's in the church ages. Ezekiel 38:39, Sister Berna. So I hope, okay, zoom that. You were there. Oh, there. Zoom on the hammer and the sickle. Don't you know the flag of the Soviet Union? Okay, zoom on that. So that's Ezekiel 38:39. So Sister Yed, click the picture of Sister Berna. Then toggle if yours.
Let me
So,
say something, Brother Francis. Let me say
so that
something.
is watching. So when we go to verse 45, it's your household, your church, your family.
Let me
Okay,
say
click.
some. No, let me say something about what I've observed. In Baptist view, they are watching about the Jacob's trouble or the tribulation, coming tribulation. While on the SDA, they are watching for the Antichrist to uh, impose the Sunday law. Hello, hello.
Yes. They missed it. That is the application. Lo, here is Christ. There is Christ. So it's not Jesus Christ himself, but the message, which is the right message. You need to be Berean to fresh it out. If you're not going to be Berean, you just wish to spoon feed from your pastor, I'm sorry to say you'll be left behind. You're not supposed to be full spoon feeding from your pastor, because I remember all my brethren in Binondo. They were just spoon feeding. If someone tells them, "Oh, don't believe this, don't believe the other end time preachers, or don't believe Brother Francis," they'll just follow blindly without ever checking it up. So they will be judging people by virtue of emotion. Oh, he's wrong, I will avoid listening to him. But for you to know what is right and wrong, you need to compare. You need to listen. That's what a real Bible believer is. So that's where my previous pastor got it off. They didn't know what being Berean is yet. Being Berean is what a true born again Christian is. So I have many brethren that are emotional. Some have become lukewarm. Some are still active, but they're Nicolaitan because they don't want to listen to others. They're not being trained to become Berean. So they're trained to become Nicolaitan. And not just my previous church. other churches happened also. Also happens. Can it happen in our church? Yes, it does, unless we insist. The family. So we're gonna read that part, verse 45 downwards. Food in due season, the household of God. Okay, so let continue reading, Bergeri. And if you have a picture, Sister Yead, oh, that picture is also good. Huh? A picture about the marriage supper of the Lamb. Okay, so continue reading,
43,
Bergeri.
I'll be back at 42. Watch therefore, for ye know not what our Lord doth came. 43, but know
Not
this,
being very.
that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore, be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord hath made ruler over his household, to give meat in due season?
Okay,
Blessed.
stop there for a moment. Stop there for a moment. Verse 42 to 44, the good man of the house, a householder. So he could be a pastor, he could be a minister, uh, he could be a family man, whether it's a father or the mother, or even the eldest child or the youngest child, whoever is spiritual. The one that takes care of the household. How does he take care of the? First, he's a watcher. Watcher is being Berean, no? You're studious, you're focused, you're studying prophecy, you're studying events that will transpire, but you also want to follow instructions for your family, to prepare your family that they are qualified for the rapture. So you bring in food in due season. Your family must not just be eating physical food. He or she must, your family, your church, must be eating food in due season. What is food in due season? That's the present truth. That's a progressive truth. It's not just traditional truths. But most churches today are content with traditional truths because they refuse to compare and listen to others, learn from others. They have discrimination. I'm going to listen to, I'm open to listen to others except for that person, except for Brother Branham, Brother Jackson, Brother Gann, or Brother Francis, Brother Frank. I'm going to listen to anyone except that person or Parnell. Okay? There's discrimination today. They close their eyes and ears. They shut them up. They have eyes that could not see. They have ears that could not hear. I hope someone can share it to Brother Felix. He's kind to me, but he doesn't want to listen to me because that is the Nicolaitan spirit being trained in the churches today. What is food in due season? Food in due season, it is present truth. You already threshed out uh, the undesirables, you've removed the bone from the fish. You removed those unnecessary things, those unbiblical things. So, do we do that for our household? In all churches you see today, they're just content to listen what the pastor says. They're no longer studying. They're no longer researching. They're no longer comparing. They're prejudging others. Oh, they're wrong. I'm not gonna listen to them. But a true Christian, you will be comparing all of them, and you will see if it's a major truth. You will know that's a progressive truth. What is the original communion? What is the original understanding of the Godhead? What is the original sin? What is the right understanding about the foolish virgins? Will they remain foolish or become wise? What is the right understanding about Melchizedek, Judas, etc.? Many other things. So do you bring food in due season? Not for your home, for your household, for your wife, your children, grandchildren, for your church. Okay, continue reading, Bargery. And you may change the pictures, Sister Yed, as you see fit. Okay, continue reading. Start from verse 4 to 6.
Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. 47. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But, and if
Okay,
that
stop for a
evil
moment.
servant,
Mute for a moment. I will make that servant, that faithful servant, ruler over my goods. He will receive a reward in the millennium. Right now, there's a partial reward. You are appointed, you're anointed by God. So if Kubulay claims he's an appointed son of
but,
God,
Francis,
these are the
but,
true appointed sons of God. You are appointed ruler over his household. You are meant there to feed the flock. And I would say in the end time, the super church, each and every one of us should be doing that. Not just a pastor. When others read, even Brother Jackson read this, they would think it's only the pastor. No, all of you, every one of you, you have your family. If you don't have a physical family yourself, you should also be, whether you have it or not, you should be helping out in feeding the church of God. So you should help out in giving out the message to the flock of God. And each one should help each other share the message. Not just share it to outsiders, share it to each other. That is how you bring food in due season to your household. Your household is not just your physical family. Your household is your spiritual family, your brethren in Christ. Okay, question.
Francis, no, but as I've observed, those close-minded churches or Nicolaitan churches as thriving more than those who are Berean.
Yes, they hate being Berean. They they think if they listen, they let their members listen to others, their members will be deceived. That's the mentality. That's the mindset. A wrong mindset. Of course, you can delay the uh, for them to compare to attend others, but you cannot delay it forever. That's why food in due season. They should not be eating expired foods. The message of the past. You need the message of the past if you're still a baby. But if you're progressing, you're eating it in due season, step by step, precept upon precept, from the basic to the advanced. That's if you're progressing, you're eating food in due season. But if you're not progressing, you're eating a spoiled food. When you say spoiled, it's no longer fresh, like manna. When they overstocked it, it bred worms. You have to finish it. I once bought some food in the house. I didn't eat it immediately. When I tried to finish it up because I don't want to waste money, it was stale. It was no longer edible. So that's the same thing here. What is food in due season? Is it appropriate for their time? Or are they recycling old messages? Message about grace, message about the rapture of what? Whatever the old message was, you have to progress. You have to move on to the present truth. What is the present truth today? It's not just present day Israel. You need to be corrected with your understanding of God, with your baptism, your original sin, end time Elijah, many other subjects. Those are messages from God. Those are not optional. If only I want to study them. If I don't want to study them, it's all right. It's not all right. It shows your heart is not sealed with a word, and you'll be left behind. You don't have the wedding garment yet. Okay, continue reading. You have to hurry up because our time is running out.
Verse,
PM Eastern
verse
Time.
48, but, and if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servant, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of the servant shall come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
So Sister Berna did not forward the verse, no? She is not paying attention. So please forward the verse. Who is the faithful and wise servant? Okay, that's verse 5. Could you forward the verse, Sister Berna? The verse ends in, what verse did you end, Brother Jerry? Is it 51, 50?
Yes, 51.
So those are the instruction. The final instruction is bring food in due season for your household. So the first few verses, the first few segments, talks about the generation that will not pass away until you see all these things being fulfilled. But for you to escape those things, these are the instruction of Christ. If you are a faithful and wise servant, you will bring food in due season. And what if you're not a faithful and wise servant? If you don't bring food in due season, the Bible calls it an evil servant. Have you read that part? The evil servant shall say,
Amen.
the Lord delayeth his coming. How did the evil servant delay? Say, the Lord is delayed. Because the evil servant does not want to walk in progressive revelation. He's
Amen.
content in repeating the old truths, like Israel. When Christ came, they didn't believe the progressive revelation that he brought. Even the prophets of old in the Old Testament. And during the time of Christ, there was the message of John the Baptist. There was the message of Jesus Christ. The message of John the Baptist was came short. When
Uh,
Jesus Christ came around, the message of Jesus Christ was more complete.
Verna, please show the estabulation.
I can show it. So while he's looking for it, so there's a progressive revelation. That's in Acts chapter 19. Acts chapter 18 to 19, there was Apollos preaching the message of John the Baptist. And Aquila, Priscilla took him aside and shared to him the progressive revelation. So you need to bring food in due season. No matter who you are, you don't need to be a pastor, a minister. But in the spirit, in the manifestation of the gifts, you are a pastor, you are a teacher, if you help out in the pastoral ministry, in the teaching ministry, the evangelistic ministry, you evangelize. You have the apostolic ministry if you're helping in the management of this. So, apostolic ministry, to be active there, is not just being a senior, having seniority, but helping out in the logistics and the management of these affairs. So, let's get back to our outline. Let's just summarize letter B and letter C. If you have a question, you may ask. If you still request for the Ascend tabulation, maybe you can ask Sister Berna to show it. Okay. I'm focused on the outline. Letter B, different fulfillments. We didn't talk about the resurrection. So look at letter B in the outline. Click the outline. The resurrection of Christ is a small measure of fulfillment. This generation shall not pass till you see the kingdom. And what kingdom? It's just a glimpse of the kingdom. The glimpse of the kingdom. Look at Matthew chapter 17. We talked about Moses and Elijah last week, right? That's the kingdom. There be some of you standing here that will not taste death till you see all these things, till you see the kingdom, the Son of Man arriving in his kingdom. And who were those three? Who were those persons standing there? Peter, James, and John. Could you, Sister Yead, could you show the thumbnail last week? Moses and Elijah, in a vision. Matthew chapter 17, the vision of the resurrection. So I should have told you, but we already have the picture last week. So what was the picture last week? One of the picture there was Matthew chapter 17. And they had a vision of Christ's resurrection. And this is what Christ was referring to. One of the, I didn't mention this last night. Good thing that we can mention it right now. There be some standing here that will not taste death till you see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. That's it, the resurrection. Why? Because when Christ comes back here on earth, Moses and Elijah will be beside him. When Christ resurrected from the dead, Moses and Elijah was beside him. What they saw was a vision of the resurrection. Tell the vision to no one until the Son of Man be risen from the dead. That's one of the applications of the word, this generation shall not pass. That's a small application. Some of you will not taste death.
Oh, it's something new, huh?
It's not an immortal person. It's a glimpse of future kingdom. Remember Christ during his communion, if you have a picture of that? I will not drink of this wine till I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. So let's talk about the vine. One application is communion, the Passover. So Christ will no longer take the Passover because it's going up in the air. Even after his resurrection, after his death and resurrection, he will no longer stay there for a year. That's Passover. But what about the fruit of the vine? It's not necessarily just about communion. It is eating with them. So, until I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom, when Christ stepped into the most holy place, offering up himself as a propitiation for our sins, then that is Christ coming in his kingdom. What kind of kingdom? It's a spiritual kingdom. First, it starts from the heaven, then to the hearts of men, the church ages, then on earth, the millennial kingdom. So that's the first application is Peter. A simple application is Peter, James, and John. That's the resurrection. Let's get back to letter B. Get back to our outline. What's the second one? Could you read? Anyone? We already mentioned it. We're just going to read the outline. Just for... Can anyone read letter B? The second bullet? Yes. Please read letter B, second bullet. The outline.
Fig tree Israel.
Could you come close? I like your voice.
Fig tree Israel.
Okay, we talked about that. A good thing we already talked about that. The generation that saw the fig tree. That was mentioned in Matthew chapter 24, verses what segment? 29 to 35. Or 36. Okay.
The question, Brother
So,
Francis.
okay.
Since you applied it, those verses in multiple view, how about this? When the fig tree put forth its leaves, is there any application of that during the time of Jesus Christ's ministry or at the middle of these church ages, or it's just applied only in 1948?
Could you repeat your question?
The Matthew, when the fig tree putted forth its leaves, is it applied throughout the ages, in multiple views, or it's only applied in 1948?
The ultimate application is 1948. That's the ultimate.
No,
That's the major.
if that
Now
is
let's
the
talk about
ultimate in major,
again.
if that is the ultimate or ultimate application, then will you cite another application of it during the
So,
church ages?
so this is how you understand the Bible. There are always parallelisms. That's why there is a spoken word revelation, progressive revelation. So, if Israel is typed to the church, the fig tree represents the restoration of the church. That's the church that fell because the leaves were withered. Remember when Christ is
Ah,
looking for a fruit and there were no fruits, he cursed the fig tree. The fig tree withered. That represents the church going into apostasy, the dark ages. Then, when uh, Christ talked about the fig tree putting forth leaves again, its branches extending. That's the
okay.
type of the restoration of the church.
Brother
If there's a
Francis,
restoration of Israel, there's a restoration of the church. The restoration of the church starts from the Reformation through these
yes,
fundamental preachers.
that's
So
what
in
I
this
am.
area,
That's what I am getting. If I get right, you're right. In every ages there is an application of this fig tree upon the church.
Sister Yed, could you show the bride tree, any kind of tree or fig tree in your own picture? The bride tree, the restoration chart. Okay, so that's the typology to the church. What are the branches? Those, if for other denominations, they could interpret it as number of members or expansion of their church. So there are chapters of one church having numerous chapters all over the globe. JIA and many others. Jesus Reigns, JR, and CCF. There are many churches that expanded. Even end-time message churches, they're expanding like denominations also. Only listen to them. So that's the restoration chart. When you see from the blackness, out of the darkness came the light. The light came out from the darkness. So, or the light pierced the darkness. That's the restoration. The ultimate application is not the number of members, because you're not exactly the same as Israel. Israel is the number of their citizens in their country, their borders. That's the branches. For the churches today, do not imagine it. That's a shallow interpretation. You expanded your branches because you've expanded to many chapters, many local churches, with your own brand of denomination. If you're a Berean church, you will not think of denominationalism. You would think that your church is open to other churches also. And other churches that are of Christ will be open also. So if the local churches that you're managing is a true church, you will train them how to become Berean, matured Berean. So there will be no membership, no Nicolaitanism. What is the branches and the leaves? Those are revelations from God. So the branches is the scope of your understanding. The leaves is not mainly the number of persons. These are the number of revelations, number of your instructions, number of your achievements. In progressive revelation, of course, traditional churches have many achievements. But we need to overcome. We need achievement in the present truth. Those are the leaves. Okay, let's go to letter C. Oh, no, not letter C. Let's go to the last one. And letter C also, because we have 5 minutes left. Let's get back to our outline. Thank you for that question, a beautiful question. Okay, Titus 70 AD. So we already talked about that. Letter B, Titus 70 AD. This generation shall not pass away. The literal generation that did not pass away when Christ was there were the ones that will witness the destruction of Jerusalem till you see all these things be fulfilled. What about the end time? Let's go to letter C. I will no longer drink of the vine. Israel as a nation in 1948. Then the Tribulation Abomination. Israel as a nation, that's our generation. When the fig tree putteth forth leaves, you witness the Israel becoming a nation once again. That generation will not pass. So that's our grandfathers, grandmothers. Their generation shall not pass. That's how near it is at the doors. The Tribulation Abomination, there will be a generation that will be left behind in the rapture. And that's also, that generation shall not pass. Because why? The sheep nations. Could you show Sister Yead the tribulation period of Brother Gan? Okay? The separation of the sheep and goats. That's the generation that will not pass. That's Isaiah 24 verse 6. Many people will be killed, but few men left. There will be few men left. Isaiah 24. Maybe Sister Berna can open that. Look at that. No? Could you zoom that, Sister Yead? The separation of the sheep and goats. Zoom in the middle, where Jesus Christ was sitting in the throne of his glory. And he will separate the sheep from the goats. Okay, you misfired. Go back to where you were. Sister Berna, maybe you can open up Isaiah 24 verse 6. Few men left. That means to say, that generation did not pass away. Not everyone, unless those days shall be shortened, Armageddon. No flesh shall be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. For the elect's sake, is the sheep group not the elect? And what about the glorified Christians? They are also the elect. For the elect's sake, that there will be a millennium, there will be a kingdom on earth. So those generations shall not pass. Even the goats, can we include that in the generation that shall not pass? Yes, because they will be killed after the tribulation, after Armageddon, after World War III. They will be survivors, and all those things already transpired, but they will just not be allowed to enter the millennium. And that's part of the generation that shall not pass. Okay, so we're finished. Please give us a closing prayer.
Okay, let us pray. Anyone who can? Okay, let us pray. Anyone who can?
Brother Magellan, could you give us the closing prayer? Brother Enoch, anyone?
Okay, let us pray. We praise you, O Lord. We give you thanks for this blessed morning that you have given us, O Lord, to preach your word, to be a part of this ministry. And may this broadcast be a blessing to our brethren, to the listeners, O Lord. Thank you for more revelation that you have given us. We are overwhelmed, O Lord, for what you are doing with us. And let this revelation bring us, O Lord, a power and anointing to do your will, O Lord, especially in our Hukom ministry, to serve you, O Lord, by way of attending to our brethren, to our brethren who are weak, still weak, O Lord, and need to be nurtured, especially our family. We pray this, O Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
All I have is now to be faithful, to be holy, and to shine, lighting up the darkness right now. I really have no choice but to voice the truth to the nations, the generation looking for God. For such a time as this, I was His will, whatever it is, for such a time as this, from now and all the days He gives. I am here, and I am His, for such a time as this. Do you ever wonder why? Seems like the grass is always greener under everybody else's sky. Right here, for this time and place, you can live a mirror of His mercy, a forgiven image of grace. For such a time as this, I was placed upon the earth to hear the voice of God and do His will, whatever it is, for such a time as this, for now and all the days He gives. I am here, and I am His, for such a time as this. Can't change what's happened till now, but we can change what will be by living in holiness, that the world will see Jesus. For such a time as this, I was placed upon the earth to hear the voice of God and do His will, whatever it is, for such a time as this. But now and all the days He gives, I am here, and I am His, for such a time. For such a time as this, I was placed upon the earth. Oh, to hear the voice of God and do His will, whatever it is, for such a time as this. From now and all the days He gives, I am here, and I am His, for such a time as this. The signs are obvious, they are everywhere. All that we hear about is the gloom and despair. Too many would-be prophets saying it's the end of it all, 'cause Mother Earth can't take much more. The hammer's gonna fall, so nature has its needs. That's a lesson learned, but it appears to me there are greater concerns, 'cause we can save the planet, thinking we will somehow survive, but Father Time is calling us to save somebody's life. So I won't bend and I won't break, and I won't water down my that